This is Eric Rutan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
G'day everybody, welcome to the show. Well, this one's been under embargo for some time, but I can finally reveal my conversation with Mille Petrozza from Kreator. He's a fantastic guy. I've had a number of chats with him over the years. Always look forward to his company. And the catalyst this time around is an Australian tour alongside of In Flames, which is occurring in February 2024. If you're local, please check gig guides, and I'll put some more information in the episode description. Now, throughout this chat, of course, we talk a little bit about the tour, but a chat with Mille is a guy like him with his intellect. It's always great to branch out and discuss other topics, social issues, especially what's bloody going on in Israel at the moment and the way that is affecting the rest of the world. So here he is, Mille Petrozza from Kreator. In terms of the interviews and the conversations, do you like this aspect of it?
It's more intimate. I mean, it's more. I can see your facial expression if I say something stupid now, for example.
I guess what I'm getting at is that you do so many interviews throughout the year. You know, I know it's better than digging a ditch, but do you enjoy the interview process?
I do, depending also. I mean, see, this is the fifth interview today, and we keep it short and sweet. Yeah. And sometimes when I'm on they call it promotional tours, and you do like 10 in a row, and then of course it gets kind of like repetitive and mechanical after a while. But keeping it shorter and only up to 5 interviews a day, it makes it cool, you know.
Are people still asking you questions like, "So, Mille, tell me, how did the band start?" Those sort of questions, do they still come through?
That happens, yeah. And also, there's always certain questions where I go like, "Oh my God, again!" But sometimes you have to be also keep in mind that some people that have never heard of the band or are not so familiar, whatever. You know, I'll try to be, even if those questions come up, I try to answer them politely.
Yeah, I know you do. You've always been a champion that way. You and Blitz, I reckon you're very similar in the way that you approach interviews. I enjoy listening to your interviews, but I also like talking to you as well.
Thank you.
There you go. So this Clash of the Titans tour, I'm one of the few people that know that it's happening. I know it's embargoed until Sunday or Monday.
Yes.
So a couple of days. So look, it's happening through February of 2024, so it's not far away. And I know the fans are going to appreciate it because we remember your tour with Sepultura a couple of years ago. But that's a question. So you toured with Sepultura last time. How come you picked In Flames this time around?
This new brand that we established, the Clash of the Titans with the K, we did one with Testament and one with Sepultura, and of course we always try to bring it to places we haven't where it didn't happen before, and then we had this idea of bringing it to Australia. And we asked some of our friends in other bands, and In Flames were like, "Yeah, let's do this," because it's like the concept is you have 2 full headlining shows of each band, and full set length and production, and in one night. And it's a double full treatment for the fans. So they get hopefully 2 of their favorite or not favorite bands, whatever, and they might get to experience a band that they don't know before or whatever. And it's like combining the powers of and the fan base of both bands and making the shows bigger.
Gotcha. What about set lists? Okay, because I don't know whether this won't be a different crowd for you, but it's a different band for you to be touring with. I'm not saying that they're new school, but they're newer than Sepultura, if you understand, a Testament.
Absolutely.
Saying so, does that mean that you've got to play a combination of the old school bangers and some newer stuff, or can you dive into a song from Endorama?
We haven't thought about the Endorama stuff yet, but there'll definitely be some surprises. But we want to, for us as a setlist is almost like a long song. So it's the dramaturgy that has to be powerful and has to make sense, and it has to kind of flow. And you can expect a combination of a lot of the old stuff and a lot of the new stuff back to back. And it will be cool, I guess. There will be some surprises, but not too many. There's some standards that we have to play, and considering the fact that we're not coming to Australia so often, we need to play the fan favorites.
Yeah, gotcha. Can we expect any collaborations like the recent one with Dani Filth?
Yeah. That was that was a nice surprise. There was something that came up very spontaneous. We played on the same on at the Bloodstock open air over here in the UK, and that wasn't planned. That wasn't like, okay, we need to come up with some cool collaboration. And I think that was very spontaneous, and maybe something like that will happen in the future again, because I kind of like the color that Dani, for example, brought to the song. It makes it very fresh and unique. It's almost like a 2022 version of an old song, or 2021, or whenever we did it, of a song that's been around since '89.
Yeah, gotcha. I loved your collaboration with Tobias as well, actually. I loved it when you guys did that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you could even do an album that way. Have you thought about something like that?
Yeah, we were thinking about something for the next album, because there will be you're the first one that I'm telling this, but there will be a movie about the band made by a German director, and we will invite some people in the process to do some collaborations with us. And we haven't thought of who we're going to work with yet, but there might be some obvious and some surprising guests on that album. It might be coming out along with the next Kreator Studio album, which we scheduled for 2025, and it will be part of the movie.
So it's going to be like The Dirt, then, is it? Imagine that.
It's not. It's a documentary, but it will basically focus on the present. We'll also take the director with us. She might come to Japan with us on the next tour, and maybe even Australia. We haven't decided yet. And some stuff will be shot in Germany, some more like historic stuff, and we'll see. It's going to be a full length cinematic experience.
Fans will love it. Yeah. Hey, I'll just ask you now. I know we don't have too long. Have we got until 1:15 the hour, or we've got a bit longer than that for the chat?
Yeah, you're the last one, so feel free.
Okay. All right, sweet. Okay. Look, I have asked you this before, but I feel like I've got a different audience these days to the one that I had 5 and 6 years ago. It's grown considerably, to be honest. So they probably don't know that I've asked you questions about Chuck Schuldiner before. So if it's cool, I want to talk about him for a moment, because I know you've got this really, outside of Kreator, you've actually got this really deep career. And that includes Jesus Killing Machine, which is the debut album from Voodoocult, featuring Chuck, okay? I don't know whether a lot of even the Chuck fanboys out there know that he was a part of a band that you were in. So what's your take on Chuck and your memories of working with him?
Basically, we've been friends before we worked together. I've known him through like tape trading days, and when we played, I think St. Petersburg, he came to a show, and we talked on the phone. You know, back then you would talk on the phone and that's what we did. And then later on, this artist from Germany, Philipp or he came up with the concept of the Voodoocult project. It was his baby, and he collaborated with like people like Dave Lombardo, Chuck, and various other people from metal bands, and I was also involved. And funny enough, we never met. None of the people that were involved in this album met in the studio and played everybody played their part individually. So I've known Chuck, and I've known him quite well, but we never made it into the studio together. It was just a collaboration for that album, but we never actually recorded music together in one room,
Yeah, different times, no doubt about that. Yeah. What is that? When I say an important aspect of your career, do you feel it's an important aspect of your career? That album, Jesus Killing Machine. No, you don't. No, I didn't think so. Yeah.
No, it was a nice to have kind of thing, but it's not a milestone, to be honest. I wasn't involved in the songwriting. I was only playing guitar, and that's, to me, it's like I said, it's Philip Boas' baby, and I'm happy that I could contribute to it, and I don't regret doing it. I thought it was a cool little project. But it's not something that I would mention if on my deathbed or whatever, It's like, it's just something that I was involved in.
Something that happened, yeah. What's the most significant opportunity that you said no to? I'm talking about a sliding doors moment that could have changed your career.
No, there was none of that.
Really?
No. I think everything fell into place the way things happen for a reason, and there was never like a moment where I was like, I made a stupid decision or something. I mean, you live and learn, and I signed my first record deal when I was 17 years old, and my mother had to sign it for me because I wasn't 18 yet, and so that wasn't a mistake. From nowadays perspective, of course, I could have maybe have a lawyer involved, with something that I would do nowadays. But back then, I was happy to have a record deal. So there was no regrets, and there was no bad decisions. Of course, you made some stupid decisions along the way. I mean, this has been a 30 plus year career. I mean, of course you make mistakes, but there wasn't any major fuck up where I was like, oh, if I wouldn't have done this, I would have been here or whatever. No, none of that.
Do you still get the fans who take exception to Outkast and Endorama?
There's some fans that love these albums, and there are some fans that don't like the albums too much. So I wouldn't say that those. I mean, Endorama I like a lot, and Outkast contains Phobia, which is one of our fans' favorites. The album wasn't so popular, but it was definitely those were definitely, to me, very important albums.
Do you feel as though Hordes of Chaos was the album that, I'm not saying it's a comeback because you were well and truly, you never went away, let's face it. But do you feel as though Hordes of Chaos was the album that really cemented you guys as the force to be reckoned with again in the new millennium?
Maybe, maybe even Violent Revolution. But yeah, it was definitely an important album for us. It's hard for me to answer these questions, to be honest, because I'm too involved, and I think some of the albums mean a lot to certain people, whereas on the other hand, they don't mean so much for others. So to me, those are important albums, yes.
How close are we, do you think, to getting, and I think there was talk of it, I mean, I heard along the grapevine, so God knows if this is true, so I'll get to the point, Kreator, Sodom, Destruction and Tankard on a festival lineup, sort of a thing, like a Clash of the Titans style thing. Is that, I mean, you guys have obviously talked about that.
That's happening in July.
Okay, that's where it is, yeah.
Yeah. But it's already sold out in 3 days, so it's like And it's only a one-off. It's only a one-off because it's hard to organize all 4 bands in one package. So it probably won't be a tour. Or if it's gonna be a tour, it won't be a long tour. So it's very exclusive. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it was something that we were in the talks for a long time. We were talking about it for years, and I finally made the decision to organize it in a spot where it's convenient for everybody. You know, these bands are one of the bands on the package. They don't tour so much, so we needed to really see if they can schedule it and it's convenient for them. And the 2 bands are living very close to the place, and Destruction, they're road dogs like us. So it's like yeah, it took a little while to organize it, but yeah, finally it will happen. And fans are really appreciating it. I mean, like response is amazing.
Yeah. Oh, you could tour the US with a package like that and make.
Yeah, maybe we will. I mean, it's like I said, it's quite hard to organize 4 bands that have such different schedules and you know, and so it's not so easy. But we would be up for it, and we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah, yeah. Mike Sifringer, are you in touch with him at all? The Destruction guitarist?
Anymore, no.
No, nobody. I've tried to look up where he's at just because I love talking to you guys who have been around a long time, but I can't find him. So I hope he's well either way. But yeah, he's sort of.
Yeah, you should ask Mir. He knows. He knows. I think they live very close, so he knows whether or not he's well. Yeah, he should be well.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, you might have just had enough of the music industry, I suppose, and touring and all of that stuff. It can be a grind, I suppose, as well. Like, yeah, Jan Peter Genkel and Lacrimosa, the album Revolution. Do you remember recording guitars with him, or was it a bit like the Chuck Schuldiner thing?
No, I did that with Mark, a friend of mine who plays in the band Caliban, and we recorded the guitars at his studio. That was something that I was definitely involved in. Yes.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Did you work directly at all in with Jan Peter Genkel at all? I hope I'm pronouncing it.
No. I did it in a different studio with Mark Gertz from here.
I'm trying to have a chat with him because he produced the Cruelty and the Beast album by Cradle of Filth, and there's a lot of conjecture around that album, if you might be aware. So I was wondering if you'd worked with him and what your take on him was, because I can find a lot of people that have done stuff.
I never did work with him directly.
All right. Okay. Yeah. It seems like a nice guy and a decent guitarist, though. So I can't really tell where yours begin and end on that album, to be honest with you, because it's a bit of a different thing for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it was just like all the songs were written also, and I was just I think Tilo wanted to be heavier, so he asked me to do the guitars on it, and I guess that's basically it. He wanted to have like a more metal sound, and I was happy to help him out.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. You may remember our discussions because I always ask you about politics and we always end up in bloody blabbermouth. So here we go. Okay. And every time we seem to talk, a war started. Okay. So initially in 2017, there was the Syrian migrant crisis.
Mm.
And then there was the Russian invasion of the Ukraine last year. And now we've got what's going on in Israel. Okay. So there's a lot of similarities between German society and Australian society these days because they're high migrant societies. A lot of people in them that are born overseas and first and second generation, this sort of thing. But there's a lot of rhetoric coming out of pro-Palestinian advocates in Dusseldorf. I saw there was a rally or whatever you want to call it in Dusseldorf, Barcelona, Stockholm, London, New York, even San Diego. And in Sydney, for example, we saw authorities ask Jewish people to conceal their identity against a deeply offensive chant, which was "Gas the Jews." This is going on in Sydney, if you can believe it. Police are watching on and they weren't taking any action. I feel as though the West is being gaslit by an increasingly pernicious left wing at the moment. They frame that words of violence, but actual horrendous acts of violence against innocent civilians, the innocent and civilians, like what we saw with those poor Israelis at the rave and the families in the town there near the border of Gaza. But they frame it as resistance. They frame violence as resistance. What's your take on things these days?
First and foremost, I'm totally. I wish that humanity would be at a different level at this point in time, where war is not an option. That's basically all I can say about it, because I think there's always like different views on things. There's always like reasons why people take violence as an option and start a war or start like terrorist attacks or whatever. And in my world, this should be a thing of the past, but it's not. And I'm like always shocked when I see what's happening in these war zones, and I always think it's wrong. And that's basically it. I look at it from not so much of a political point of view, but more a humanitarian point of view, where I think this, on a spiritual level, this should be a thing of the past, and that's basically it. It's a tragedy, and it's human tragedy, and it's something that the human race is cursed with. It's never. There should be, in my opinion, this shouldn't happen in the year 2023.
So I've got a mate who spent some time in Germany, and the comment that he made to me was he felt like he needed to learn Arabic before he learned how to speak German. And there's definitely aspects of that throughout Sydney, as well as throughout those other cities that I've mentioned, Stockholm, maybe not Barcelona, but certainly Stockholm, London, and Berlin or Dusseldorf as well. From the perspective that I don't know whether our world is getting safer, how much do you think that, let's call it, it's not unscheduled migration, but the multicultural aspect of migration, how much do you think that has affected the West?
Like I said, violence is never an option. And the countries like I said, Australia and Germany, is always like there's always a fluctuation of people coming from countries or going into different countries and moving. That's what humans were always like that. Always people were moving from one place to the other, and they were born in one country and then moved to another country. I don't think I think that can be a great thing, and culturally also sometimes that can be problems, but in my opinion, that's not the problem. The problem is the fact that there's still reasons to start to act violence and start a terror attack, or kind of take violence as an option. And in my opinion, we should be at a different point in the history of the human race, which is not. We're not there yet. We're still in turmoil. We're still not in peace, and it kind of to me, it's like world peace will, once there was some certain points in history where you thought, okay, now we could be on the edge of a spiritual awakening, so to speak, where we're going to be like, okay, now things are going to change for the better, only to learn that in the next minute there's something else happening that's horrible, and it takes us back into the Middle Ages again, it's a problem that goes way deeper than into like people's political views or whatever. You know, it's more of like a human drama.
Yeah, no, I hear. Look, thanks for answering the questions, by the way, and being articulate on that point. The only other question I've got, it's got nothing to do with the topic, but I guess it's adjacent in a way. But throughout COVID, there was a Senate inquiry in the United States where a whistleblower claimed that American intelligence has alien artifacts not of this earth. And it went over everybody's head, right? I mean, this is where the conspiracy theorists have a field day that we're being controlled by lizard people or whatever it might be. It's all bullshit. I know that I'm not a conspiracy theorist in any way, shape, or form. But when someone says that, and they're a Senate whistleblower, and then we've had recent people recently who claim you've had people go on a Joe Rogan show talking about they've interacted with these things, and Travis Walton's testimony as well. Yeah, I can see you laughing. So obviously you don't give it much stock.
I wish it was that easy.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, aliens, of course. Yeah, I mean, I don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not saying that there's no aliens or whatever, but why would they want to be involved with the fucking what in our businesses on Earth? I mean, this is too far out there, and it's a nice story, and it could be a great blockbuster plot or whatever. But to me, sorry, I mean, I'm not so naive.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think a lot of that potentially was just a bit of a red herring, just to get everybody's eyes and attention away from hyperinflation, which is going on in the back.
But also, like I said, I mean, everybody's opinion gets getting so blown up nowadays with modern day communication that somebody thinks that aliens invade or there's an aliens conspiracy, and all of a sudden people are taking the word, taking it for facts. And like I said, I mean, whatever you want to believe in. And there's so many like truth, so to speak, nowadays, and I'm not buying into it.
I'll make this my final question for you. Okay, you've had a very long career. It's been tidal. It's gone up. It went up, and then it went down, and then it went back up again. Okay, so if you could go back and give yourself some advice when you first started out, and you kind of have in terms of the legal side of things with contracts and stuff, but that aside, you've obviously been extraordinarily. You've persevered. Okay, so you've got a very honest character about yourself in terms of the way you've approached your career as well. But if you could give yourself some advice, what would it be way back when you first started?
Yeah, get a lawyer involved maybe in the very early days. Just but that's other than that. I mean, there's no advice. We did everything in our possibilities. We jumped on a lot of tours in the early days, and for me, it's about the music. I mean, it's the music is there. We bring it to the people no matter what. And that's what I did, and I use all the technology that's on my hands. I use all the touring that I can do. Totally think that what I did, looking back, of course, there's been minor decisions that I made that were not the best, maybe. But in the end of the day, you live and you learn. And my advice to my younger self would be just do it all over again, like just how I did it. No fucking regrets, man.
Nice. I like it. Actually, I will make this my last question for you. When's the book coming out? Because plenty of people want to read it.
We're looking for a publisher at the moment. It's half of it. It's written already.
Your biography?
Oh, no, it's a fiction.
Oh, tell me about it. I haven't heard about it. Yeah.
It's too early. It's too early. There's going to be a fictional book coming out. I do it with a friend of mine who's an author, and, we're working on it as we speak.
Well, what about a biography? Because I'd love to read that.
I would, yeah. I haven't. I don't feel. Believe it or not, I don't feel old enough to write a biography yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but there's a heck of a story there. There's always going to be a story there when you've had a career this long, though, and especially throughout the 1990s and just keeping on. I know you had the German territory there that was so favourable to heavy metal bands, and we love the German fans for that. But still, man, there'd be a heck of a story for people to read. It might even resemble The Dirt. You never know.
You never know. But that's something that's definitely going to come out in the future. Definitely, it's going to at some point. Yeah, 10 years or 20 years from now. Yeah.
No, we'll give it time. Plenty of albums still to go. There you go.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's always great to chat with you, Miller. I'll certainly be in the crowd when you come down. It's such a great teaming with you guys and Anders and Bjorn. So, look, good luck with everything, and thanks very much for the chat again. Always a pleasure.
All right, man. Thank you. Take care. See you,
brother. All right. For sure.
Take care. Bye.
Catch you, mate. Well, there you have it. Another fascinating conversation with one of the icons of heavy metal, Mille Petrozza from Kreator. Awesome. Okay, if you like that one, go over to scarsandguitars.com because there are plenty more chats resembling that one there. And if you like listening, I know you like reading because you're a smart audience, and I've written a book. Click the link in the banner, and you know the rest by now. All right, there's some more information to share with you about the book, but before we get to that, my name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and I'm the host of the podcast, Scars and Guitars. Until next time, it's a goodbye for now.
This is Eric Rattan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew Mackay-Smith.
I've been the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast since 2017. The first musician I interviewed for the show was David Vincent from Morbid Angel, and things have just snowballed from there. In all, I've posted almost 650 podcast episodes featuring conversations with many of the leading lights of rock, heavy metal, and beyond. It just got to a point where I thought, I need to write a book about all this, so that's exactly what I did. In Scars and Guitars Volume 1, you'll read a heap of deep reveals and commentary, such as Des Fafara talking about Coal Chamber and why the band will never return.
If you're a band just starting out, you need to hear me. Do not start a band with partners. Ever.
Yeah, wise words there. Sage advice, mate, for anybody.
Don't ever, because I can't go do Coal Chamber right now unless I get others involved.
Phil Anselmo talks about the episode in his career which gives him the greatest sense of accomplishment.
I think the staying power of the fans and the staying power of the songs, whether it's Pantera, Down, or Superjoint, the fans remember the songs.
Alex Skolnick from Testament confirms that, yes, playing the guitar in Ozzy's band is anything but an ordinary gig. Will Silent Oz from Dimmu Borgir write a book? Pa from Sabaton gives advice to people who want to start a band.
Look at the team around you, look at the bandmates. If the guys want to be on the stage, then it's all cool. If the guys want to be backstage, then it's not going to be cool.
Current and former members of Cradle of Filth discuss the band's seminal 90s material. Read about the reaction to George Lynch and Mark from Suicide Silence's comments when they throw shade at then President Donald Trump.
We have this idiotic monster, this egotistical, self-aggrandizing, complete piece of shit in there. I just can't understand how we've gotten to this place.
And yeah, we kicked a hornet's nest with Sepultura. Percussive overlord Gene Hoglan talks about recording with Chuck Schuldiner.
Chuck was always, he was very, very open-minded, and he was into having his musicians that were playing with him just reach out for the best stuff that they had.
Phil Campbell from Motorhead discusses what it takes to get sober. John Five answers his critics who dismiss his tenure with Marilyn Manson.
My name is John Five, and Manson gave me that name, and I had some of the best years of my life in that band and learned a lot.
And we get the lowdown on Treyarch Zagtoth from those who would know, including his mother. All across Scars and Guitars Volume 1, there are moments of tension, relief, tragedy, exhilaration, and throughout it all, you'll obtain insight that I believe no one else has managed to obtain from many of your favourite artists. So treat yourself. Scars and Guitars Volume 1 is currently available as an ebook with a print edition on the horizon. Follow the links attached and download a sample. I'm sure you'll be compelled to read the whole book.